Hey, what's up, soldiers? My name is Greg FPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire, and welcome to the next episode of Call of Duty Zombies in Real Life. If you guys didn't know, earlier I did Transit a couple weeks ago, and last week I ended up doing Die Rise. So if you want to check out either of those videos, they're going to be linked down below, and my goal is to get through every single Zombies map and explain the real life location and inspiration for all of the Zombies maps. Now today we're going to be doing Mob of the Dead, which if you didn't know is actually Alcatraz Prison, which is out in the San Francisco Bay. It's also known as The Rock. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alcatraz Prison opened in 1934 and operated through 1963. The interesting thing about the operating years is that Mob of the Dead actually takes place on December 31st, 1933. We know this because of the fireworks in the sky. It is also how you activate the jump scare. If you have a sniper, you can aim at the fireworks in the sky. There were 14 escape attempts over the years, but the only successful attempt was on June 11th, 1962. There were 4 men conspiring to escape, and they were Frank Morris, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, and Alan West. 3 men exited through the vent hole in the back walls of their cells. Alan West helped with the escape but was unable to exit through his cell because there was a pipe blocking the exit. Turek might have thought about this as having an odd one out, kind of how the Weasel was the odd one out with the rest of the crew, even though he created the escape plan for Mob of the Dead. The men used spoons from the meat hall to chip away around the vents to make a larger hole for them to fit through. This could have a connection to the Golden Spork located on Mob of the Dead if you do the Golden Spork Easter egg. The men created dummy heads out of toilet paper, soap, and practically made paper mache heads. They used the hair collected from the barber where one of them worked and glued it onto the heads to make it look like their actual heads were sleeping. The 3 men climbed the pipes located in the utility corridor, which was directly behind their cells. It led to an air vent which led to the roof, and from there they were able to follow the drain pipe out to the shore. The men had been planning this escape for over 1 year and used prison-issued raincoats and cement glue to make a raft in order to escape. One of the men played an accordion-type instrument, and with a couple pieces removed, it acted as a pump to blow air into the raft. During the 60s in Alcatraz Island, each day men had 1 hour to play a musical instrument. During this time is when the escapees would work on expanding the holes and getting further and further away from their cell. This usually made a lot of noise, so the music being played masked the sound of them chiseling away at their cells. Now, these men have never been found that escaped, but a couple days after the actual escape, there was a body found in the San Francisco Bay, but it was so deteriorated so no one could actually tell if it was actually one of the people who escaped, which is kind of interesting. Also, John Anglin made a call as well, which has been recorded, but no one actually has like the actual recording, but supposedly he called his sister, which we don't really know at this point either. It's kind of just one of those things that's kind of like a myth. So now I'm going to talk about a few different myths that actually go on at Alcatraz. So Al Capone was one of the most popular inmates and probably the most significant of all time at Alcatraz Island. He actually wrote a love song and played the banjo, and some people can still say that they can hear a banjo near the showers, which is pretty freaky. Now, when it comes to the red eyes, this was actually the first map that zombies had red eyes, and it's actually tied to a couple different things. A lot of people that Mob of the Dead is tied to the devil being in control of the map, and that's why zombies have red eyes, but there was actually a myth about the Solidarity Cell 14D. In the 1940s, a prisoner was sent into the cell, and as soon as the door closed, he began to yell and scream, and people believe that there was actually a creature with red eyes in the cell with him because that is what he said when he was yelling. In the morning, he was dead and had been strangled. So that is extremely freaky just to think about. Wow, that's pretty intense. Many people died in Alcatraz prison just from old age or actually getting killed, and some people even committed suicide. Some people that have visited Alcatraz Island remember hearing clanking of cell doors and also screams. That's some pretty freaky stuff. The sniper tower trap on Mob of the Dead by the docks is the same as where some of the guards stayed in case people tried to escape Alcatraz. Over the course of the years, 6 people that attempted to escape were killed by guns and being shot. A lot more were shot, but only 6 were actually killed. Now, when Treyarch was actually developing Mob of the Dead, they traveled to Alcatraz and actually made the map as close as possible to the actual Alcatraz prison. We learned this from JC Backfire's interview with Jason Blundell around the release of Zombies Chronicles. Here is a small segment.
We actually built all of Alcatraz.
That's
like,
insane.
All of it.
So like not just like the stuff that we saw in the distance. Like we only have really the docks.
Yeah, well,
the
there's
outside,
actually,
but there's a lot more.
If you get like a picture of Alcatraz, you'll see there's whole sections that we cut off. Well, we actually built that. We built the whole thing, and then
that's crazy.
And then as we kind of hit alpha, which is a kind of development term for a certain point in sorry to talk down, but like as in like it's a point where you've got to make hard decisions. And we said we've got to lose this, and we kind of chopped it up and made it more condensed. But yeah, we went for an authentic recreation of the whole space, which was great fun.
That's so cool.
So it has a special place in our hearts, you know.
So hopefully Jason Blundell is talking about remastering Mob of the Dead for Black Ops 4. That's the running theory that everyone is going with at the moment, and they might actually expand the map and make it bigger, which would be extremely cool to see. Now I'm going to show you guys a comparison from Mob of the Dead to real life Alcatraz. I'm just going to play the Easter egg song while we're doing this so you guys can see all the differences. It's actually really cool, but it's not going to be the end of the video because there's still one more segment after that.
Where are we going from here? Where do we go? Are we all blinded by fear? How do we know? How do we know? Where do we go? Where do we go? How do we know? Where do we go? Where are we going from here? How do we know? Where do we go? From here, don't let me go. Is it the calling we hear? How do we know?
Now that I showed you the basic facts and myths of Alcatraz, there are also audio logs from Mob of the Dead's Easter egg, which tell the story of the 4 characters on Mob of the Dead. Now, I just went into game yesterday and recorded all of these so you guys can listen to the full Mob of the Dead story told by the actual guard on Alcatraz Island known as Stanley Ferguson. Here is the full audio log.
My name is Stanley Ferguson. I was a guard at Alcatraz from 1933 to 1942. Today, I'm going to give you some insight into one of the more interesting tales from the prison's history. Over the decades, Alcatraz has seen more than its fair share of daring escape attempts. However, few were as audacious as the one undertaken by 4 inmates on New Year's Eve, 1933. Thought to be the brainchild of an inmate by the name of Albert Arlington, the outrageous scheme was as unlikely as its mastermind. It's believed that Arlington, aka the Weasel, somehow convinced 3 other inmates that he had devised a foolproof plan to escape the rock. It was a plan that would see them literally taking to the skies on a makeshift aircraft of Arlington's own design. Just how the Weasel managed to convince these hardened criminals that such a plan was even possible remains a mystery to this day. What is known is that no such plane was ever built. Instead, the group's plans for freedom soon descended into bitter argument and infighting. With the plan falling apart, anger and frustration would ultimately lead to a brutal altercation between the misguided Arlington and his former co-conspirators. Armed only with makeshift weapons, Finn O'Leary, Sal DeLuca, and Billy Hanson lured the unsuspecting Arlington to the roof, where they intended to exact a bloody and violent revenge. And so it was here, beneath the dark and stormy winter skies, that the hapless Arlington met his grisly end, bleeding to death on the cold concrete roof. For their participation in the murder, the 3 collaborators were sent to death by electric chair. Justice came swiftly. On the morning of January 19, 1934, the execution order was carried out.
I just wanted to throw this in really quick. Now, there's no real correlation between the Golden Gate Bridge and Alcatraz Island, besides they're actually really close. Some people believe that the people who escaped actually rode their raft underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, but that's really all we know. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. As you guys know, Mob of the Dead is one of my favorite maps, and I spend a ton of time doing all the research and watching documentaries and stuff for this. I probably spent about 5 or 6 hours. I just want to make everything as clear and concise as possible. If you guys know any other connections, you can let me know down below, but this is really all I could find from looking up different facts and myths and all that sort of thing. Now, I really hope you guys do enjoy this series because it does take a lot of time. Next week, I'm most likely going to be doing Buried, which I'm really excited about. And there are so many cool stories that lead to different zombies maps. So this has been Mob of the Dead in real life. Once again, if you guys did enjoy, please drop a like and subscribe if you guys are new. That would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys later today in my live stream. Peace out.
Where do we go?